Top of the afternoon, I want to welcome you to a special edition of the War Zone. And I'm about to go through my endorsements. So if you guys would love to hold on a second. Let me make sure I got my settings set right so that we can all see this. Let me edit the privacy. Done. Top of the afternoon. I'm going through my endorsements for the 2022 election. Early voting starts tomorrow across the state of Texas. And I think people want to know who should they vote for. So what I'm going to tell you is you need to get a pen and a piece of paper because I am finna go through several races. And when I say several, I mean tons of races. The ballots are that long, but I want to make sure that people know who to vote for. My recommendations on who to vote for. So get you a pen and a piece of paper. From Fort Bend to Harris County, we're going to go through these races. And some are going to be shockers. Some are definitely going to be shockers because what I do is I go and I research every single candidate. I research every single candidate in every race that I'm going to talk about. And then I make an informed decision because this program is nonpartisan. I make an informed decision on who I'm going to vote for. So you can take it from several different ways. I'm going to show you who I'm going to vote for. I'm going to show you a sample ballot of what I expect to see on my ballot. If that race is not on that ballot, that's because you live in another zip code. And I'm going to probably hit every single race. You just have to pay attention and you have to be ready for us to show you what needs to happen. So let's get this thing rolling because it's going to take a minute. And we're going to start over in Fort Bend. All right, let's go to Fort Bend and let's look at some of these races. All right, you got the county clerk, district attorney, treasurer, county commissioners, judicial offices. Now, I'm gonna be honest and tell you that I'm not very happy with the fact that a lot of Democratic candidates, incumbents, or candidates refuse to debate the Republicans in open debates. And that tells me something, that you have not done the work, because the only thing that seems to come out of a lot of Democratic incumbents' mouth is Donald Trump. We're not voting on Trump. Trump has been gone for 2 years. I don't want to hear about Donald Trump when I'm trying to figure out your views or figure out the work that you should have done. I want to know what you've done if you've been in office. And if you haven't done anything, don't expect anything tonight. Don't expect for me to endorse you in any way, shape, form, or fashion if you've not done anything. So we're going to start over in Fort Bend. Let's go over to Fort Bend and let's look at these races. In this particular race, this is for Fort Bend County Clerk. You have Laura Richard, who's the Republican, and you have Tony Smith. Oh, by the way, let me say this to you. I don't do symbolism. Just because you're black, that don't mean you're gonna get an endorsement. I'm just telling you before we start. So let's go over here and let's look at it again. There you go. In this race for county clerk, you have Laura Richards, Tony Smith. My recommendation is Laura Richard. Tony Smith got 71% of her votes in the primary. Laura got 100%. District attorney, it's a no-brainer. Nobody with common sense ran against this man. The endorsement goes to Brian Middleton. We go into Fort Bend County Treasurer. You have Bill Rickard and Albert Tibbs. In this race, I'm going to go with Bill Rickard. All right, let's go to the next race. That's they primaries. Okay. Let's go Precinct 2 County Commissioner. Grady Prestige versus Melissa Wilson. There's no way in hell that I can endorse Grady Prestige because of some of the underhanded dealings allegedly that he's been involved in. He voted for that contract with Shakira Dennis. He voted for the contract that's being scrutinized right now in Fort Bend County, along with County Judge KP George. So my endorsement will go to Melissa Wilson, somebody who's active in the community, works real hard, and probably will do a great job. In Precinct 4 County Commissioners, you have Dexter McCoy versus Ray Aguilar. So I guess you want a shocker in that one, but I'm going to go with Dexter McCoy in Precinct 4. That's what I'm going to go with. Now, let's go to the next race. Judicial Offices, District Clerk. Beverly McGrew Walker versus Annie Elliott. I would go with Beverly McGrew Walker. Let's go. We're going to pass up their primaries. Now we're going to the judicial side of Fort Bend. County Court at Law General Election 2022. Number 1, Japala Kemp versus Chris Morales. I'd go with Japala Kemp. In number 2, County Court, Tara McCallum versus Jeff McMeans. I'd go with Jeff McMeans. Number 3, Julia Matthew Andrew Donberg. I would go with Andrew Donberg. Number 4 is Tony Wallace, Courtney Rosen Kovac. I'm going with Kovac in that race. And last, the number 6 would be Sherman Hatton versus Dean Haberak. I'd go with Dean Haberak in that race. So let's go over here and let's see what else we got on deck. Oh, yeah. Here come the big one. This is the big one in Fort Bend County, which is for the county judge. Fort Bend County judge. You got your pens out. I'm pretty sure that you do. KP George versus Trevor Nels. Same as I said about Grady. There's too much going on with KP George, who does not, quote unquote, and I've heard this from a lot of African Americans, does not respect the African American community. He has a key in his back. He does what politicians want him to do, or he mirrors what Lena Hidalgo wants to do. And I feel that Fort Bend County should have somebody that's going to work for all the people and not just for a certain party. When you're the county judge, you have to represent all the people. He's made that position a partisan position because that's what he wanted to make it. So my recommendation and endorsement in this particular race goes to Trevor Nels. You need a new county judge in Fort Bend, man. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Now we're going to Fort Bend County District Courts. Surendran Patel versus Edward Cronick. Edward Cronick would get the endorsement. In the 268th, R. O'Neill Williams versus Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers would get the endorsement. Texas 328th District Court in Fort Bend. would be Monica Rollins versus Walter Armitage. We'll go with Walter. And in the 458 District Court, Stephen Longoria versus Chad Bridges would be Chad Bridges in that race. Okay, let's back up. Let's back up. Let's back up. And now we're going over to the Justice of the Peace, the general election for 2022. Precinct 1, Kelly Nicole Crow will get the endorsement. Precinct 1, place 2, Tricia Krennick will get the endorsement. And Precinct 2, Roger Garner versus Jason Joseph. Jason Joseph will get the endorsement. And over here, Precinct 3, Sonia Rash versus Justin Joyce. I think Sonia is just bouncing around from race to race to find her position, and hopefully she does, but she won't get the endorsement tonight because it goes to Justin Joyce. All right, so let's go in here. We're almost done with Fort Bend. We're actually done with Fort Bend. So you got your choices for Fort Bend, and now it's time to go over to Harris County. So now we're going to go to Harris County, and we're going to go across the state of Texas to be able to tell you who to vote for. Let's go in here. Let's go to the sample ballot. Let's go to the sample ballot. Okay. So we got that up. Let's make sure that we have you where you can see this. Okay. Y'all ready? Get your pens and your paper. It's about to get interesting. That's all I can tell you. It's about to get very, very interesting. You feel me? So let me put me some hearts and some thumbs up. Let's do this. All right. U.S. House District, Texas. U.S. House, Texas District 9. The incumbent, Al Green, the Democrat, versus Jimmy Leon. In that race, I would endorse, and let me tell you something. When I think about how the Democratic chair of Fort Bend County is like the puppet master, I have no personal issues with Al Green. He's elevated himself all the way from Precinct 7 judge over in Harris County to U.S. House, Texas District 9 congressman. But in the world that we live in, things are not changing. It's getting worse by the day. And I think that we need somebody else in there. I think Jimmy's got an uphill battle to win to beat Al, but I'm going to give the endorsement to Jimmy Leo. Your next race, statewide, Attorney General of Texas, and it's Ken Paxton, the incumbent, versus Rochelle Garza and Mark Ashe. You know, everybody want to say, well, Ken been under indictment for years. The one thing I like about Ken Paxton is he had the guts to go after people that were violating the law. What he deals with on his personal business, if he violates the law and he gets convicted, I'm good with that. I'm looking at the work. And a lot of people just want to hate on him because he's from a different party. But you got to have somebody experienced in that position to be the top cop in the state of Texas. So I'm going to give the endorsement to Ken Paxton. So now we're going to go to the next statewide race, which is the governor of the state of Texas. You got Greg Abbott, who's the governor. His challengers are Beto O'Rourke, Delilah Burris, and Deidre Gibson Gilbert should have been in this race, but there were a bunch of shenanigans that went on. So she is not in this race. But I have to endorse this race. I think Delilah Barras doesn't really stand a chance, doesn't have the money, notoriety. So this is gonna go on basically, to me, name recognition and whoever falls for all the political ads that have come out, and this is why you shouldn't vote for them. Beto is not somebody that I would vote for. He's not somebody that I would endorse because he's manipulating the black community right now. Every time you look up, he's in a black church. He's doing this. He was at a Dallas South Oak Cliff football game during this election season. But how many times have you been to games for them, Mr. Beto, when it wasn't election season? How many times have you been to the black church when it wasn't election season? I don't think he stands a shot in hell of beating Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott is just too big, too strong, too fast, has too much money, and I'm going to give the endorsement to the Republican Greg Abbott, and hopefully they can go in. And Mark Tippett from the Libertarian Party is in this race, but the endorsement goes to Greg Abbott. Lieutenant Governor, very interesting race because you have three people in this race. One is Dan Patrick, and the other is Mike Collier, and you have Shanna Steele from the Libertarian Party who's in this race. And I have to endorse somebody. Should it be Mike Collier? Should it be Shanna? Should it be Dan Patrick? I like people that got balls. I like people that's going to say what they need to say and don't even think twice about it. I am not falling for the tricks and the games. So your endorsement in the lieutenant governor race will go to Dan Patrick. Texas Commissioner of Agriculture, Sid Miller versus Susan Hayes. I would endorse Sid Miller. That's who I would endorse in that race. Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts, Glenn Hager versus Janet Dudding. The endorsement goes to Glenn Hager. And also V. Alonzo Garza is in that race. Texas Court of Appeals, place 5. You have Scott Walker versus the Democrat Dana Huffman. My endorsement goes to Scott Walker. Texas Court of Appeals, place 6. And in this race, you have two African Americans, Jesse McClure and Robert Johnson. So if you're into symbolism, you will get a black man to sit on the Texas Criminal Courts of Appeals, place 6. But I'm going with the incumbent Jesse McClure for that. Texas Land Commissioner Jay Clyburn versus Don Buckingham and Alfred Mollison. I would go with Don Buckingham in this particular race. That's who gets the endorsement in this particular race. If you guys are just tuning in, I'm doing my endorsements. But I want you to understand it's not about Republican and Democrat with me. I research these candidates and I look for everything that I can find that would tell me they would be the best to be able to work for not just my community, but for the state of Texas. Texas Railroad Commissioner. You have the incumbent Wayne Christian versus Luke Warford and Hunter Crow from the Green Party and Jaime Diaz from the Libertarian Party. But my endorsement goes to Wayne Christian. Texas Supreme Court, place 3. Let's make sure I got that right. Place 3. Deborah Learman, the incumbent, versus Aaron Noel and Tom Oxford from the Libertarian Party. And I would go with Deborah Learman with the endorsement. Texas Supreme Court, place 5. Rebecca Huddle versus Amanda Rychek. And Rebecca Huddle will get the endorsement. This is a special election, Texas Supreme Court. Evan Young, the incumbent, versus Julia Maldonado. Evan Young versus Julia Maldonado. Maldonado is caught up in that Democratic, storm. I'm not falling for it. I'm going with Evan Young. Sit back. Now, this is your next race. Alma Allen versus Gary Monroe. I'm endorsing myself, Gary Monroe, against Alma Allen. Now we get to the good stuff. This is what y'all want. This is the races in Harris County that people are going to be talking about. It's the criminal courts, it's the civil courts, and it's the family court judges in Harris County where we're going right now. If you're ready, then I'm ready. Let me check something. Get your pen and your paper ready. And we're going to go like that. All right, here we go. Harris County Civil Court at law. Number 1. The incumbent is Audrey Lawton Evans, and she's running against James Lombardino. I can't pronounce that last name. Lombardino. James Lombardino. There we go. I'm going with James Lombardino in this race. I mean, Audrey Lawton is in that circle of black politicians that ain't doing nothing for nobody. Harris County Civil Court at law number 2. Jim Kovac versus Clyde Lynchtag. Lynchtag's going to get that endorsement. Harris County Civil Court at law number 3. LaShawn Williams versus Aaron Adams. I told you, I'm finna shake it up. I'm going with Aaron Adams in this race. Let's go to Harris County Clerk. Tanisha Hedspeth versus Stan Stannard. I'm going with the Republican Stan Stannard in this race. A lot of years doing what he do. Never had a problem when he was doing it. Harris County Commissioners Court County Judge. The big dog race. It's the big dog race, man. Hold on a second, y'all. Hold on. I just got an email. Let's see what's going on. Okay. Okay, so we got to send that back in. I got to speak at Commissioner's Court tomorrow. You have Dora the Explorer, Lena Hidalgo, versus Alex Miller for county judge in Harris County. Of course, we know Lena Hidalgo has tried to steer an $11 million contract over to her friend, and she got caught. Lena Hidalgo was one of those people that pushed. It was supposed to be misdemeanor bail reform. It turned into felony bail reform. She did nothing to fix it. This county is totally unsafe. So my endorsement will go to Alex Miller for county judge. Let's go to the next race. I ain't pulling no punches. And that means black folk do not vote for Lena Hidalgo. Let me tell you something. You saw I brought Mary Courtney, one of her former African-American employers on her campaign staff, how she treated this African-American woman. She does not give a damn about the African-American community, nor does she give a damn about the Latino community. Don't fall for it. And plus, she getting money from all over the country, from all these suspect organizations and PACs and different things that want to control Harris County from the state of California, from the state of Florida. These are the people that are telling her what to do besides Rodney Ellis. We have to get rid of this puppet, and she needs to go. My endorsement goes to Alex Miller. Harris County District Clerk, Marilyn Burgess versus Chris Daniels. I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm endorsing Chris Daniels. Every time I run into this guy, he's treated me with the respect and the dignity that I know that I deserve. He is very knowledgeable of what needs to be done as Harris County District Clerk. So Chris Daniels will get my endorsement for Harris County District Clerk. Harris County Probate Court. Lloyd Wright versus Jerry Seminoff. I have seen people go through probate court, and that's worse than taking a walk down Elm Street when Freddy Krueger was in his heyday. So guess who gets the endorsement? Lloyd Wright is endorsed for Harris County Probate Court number 1. Probate Court number 2 would be Pamela Medina versus Sophia Mayfridge. In this race, and because this is a nonpartisan program, I'm going to go with Pamela Medina for Harris County Probate Court Court number 2. In Probate Court number 3, Jason Cox versus Rory Olson. I would endorse and encourage you to vote for Rory Olson. Probate Court number 4, James Horowitz versus Will Archer. Will Archer gets the endorsement. Harris County Treasurer, Carla Wyatt versus Kyle Scott, who I think was one of the hardest working candidates in Harris County. He's been everywhere, probably has put over 50,000 miles on his car, just going around the county, talking to people, has a finance background. Kyle Scott gets the endorsement for Harris County Treasurer. Lone Star Board of Trustees. I'm going to tell you something. Over there at that Lone Star College, I'm going with Joe Gordon. It's a mess. A lot of money has come up missing. I'm not going with the incumbent. I'm going with Joe Gordon. Lone Star Board of Trustees number 7. I am going to go with Rita Yates Wiltz, Texas, 482nd District Court. Maritza Antu versus Veronica Nelson. I'm going to go with Maritza Antu on the endorsement. Harris County Justice of the Peace and Constable Precinct 7. The only person in that race is Sharon Burney, who ain't getting a goddamn thing from me. You remember that night? We were on a Zoom with, I think it was, it was one of these organizations, and her attitude was garbage. And she said some disparaging things about me. Now, what I'm not going to do is let my personal feelings come into play, but I think that Sharon Burney needs to go. So I'm not going to endorse her or anybody else in that race. You do what you want in that race. Harris County Civil Court at Law, number 4. Manpreet Singh versus Brian Staley. Brian Staley will get the endorsement. Harris County Criminal Court at Law, number 1. This the ones y'all want. These are the people that's letting these folk out of jail, man. Nathan Moss gets the endorsement in Criminal Court at Law number 1. Criminal Court at Law number 2. Renisha Bowman versus Paula Goodhart. Paula Goodhart will get the endorsement. No questions about it. I'm not dealing with these judges that's letting these criminals out of jail, and I'm not going to ask you to vote for somebody who keeps making this county unsafe. In Criminal Court number 3, Portia Brown versus Leslie Johnson. Leslie Johnson gets the endorsement. Harris County Court. Let's go back. Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 4. Shannon Baldwin versus Zachary Gibson. Switch it out. Zachary Gibson's going to go in there, and he probably not going to let these boys get out of jail like this and keep killing innocent people. So Zachary Gibson gets the endorsement. Harris County Criminal Court number 5, David Fleischer versus Elizabeth Buss. Elizabeth Buss gets the endorsement. Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 6, Kelly Andrews versus Mark Montgomery. Mark Montgomery is going to get the endorsement. Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 7, Andrew Wright is the incumbent. Mike Monks gets the endorsement for Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 7. Criminal Court at Law number 8, Erica Ramirez versus Mark Goldberg. I would tell you to vote for Mark Goldberg, and he gets the endorsement from 5 Star. Criminal Court number 9, Tory Finch versus, oh, these names are kind of tough. Sartaj Ball will get the endorsement for criminal court Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 9. Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 10. Juanita Jackson, Dan Jeffrey Spugit. Juanita Jackson will get the endorsement for Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 10. And she's a Democrat, so don't think this is all about Republican and Democrat. Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 11, Cedric Walker II versus Dan Simons. Simons is going to get the endorsement. That's who I recommend you vote for in Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 11. Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 12. Ooh, y'all ready, man? Because I'm rolling now. I'm rolling now, man. I'm rolling now. Genesis Draper versus Matthew Dexter. Genesis Draper versus Matthew Dexter. Harris County, unsafe, criminals getting out of jail, 7 or 8 bonds. You part of Black Girl Magic, which ain't nothing but Black Girl Voodoo, because you ain't did your job. So guess who gets the endorsement? Matthew Dexter gets the endorsement for Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 12. Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 13. Raul Rodriguez versus Lance Long. Lance Long gets the endorsement. Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 14. Jarrell Rogers versus Jessica Padilla. Jessica Padilla gets the endorsement. Harris County Criminal Law at Law number 15. Tanya Jones versus Xavier Alfaro. Xavier Alfaro gets the endorsement. Texas 113th District Court. Rebecca Collier versus Nathan Milliron. Rebecca Collier, you ain't getting the endorsement. Nathan Milliron gets the endorsement in Texas 113th District Court. Texas 157th District Court, Tanya Garrison versus Sonia Ashton. Tanya Garrison will get the endorsement in this particular race. 180th District Court, Deshaun Jones versus Tammy Pierce, and I am going to endorse in this race Tammy Pierce. Texas District Court 182, Robert Jackson will get the endorsement. Texas 183rd District Court, Jamel Haynes versus Kristen Gunning. Kristen will get the endorsement in the 183rd District Court race. 184th, Catherine Thomas versus Lori D'Angelo. Lori D'Angelo will get the endorsement in this race. Texas 185th District Court, Andrea Beal versus Chris Carmona. Chris Carmona will get the endorsement. 189th District Court, Tamika Craft versus Aaron Lunsford. Aaron's coming back for a seat. She was a hell of a judge when she was there. And Aaron Lunsford will get the endorsement. And I recommend that you vote for. All right. In the Texas 190th District Court, Bo Miller versus Fred Schuchert. I'm going to go with Fred in the 190th District Court race. District Court 208, Beverly Armstrong versus Heather Hudson. Heather Hudson gets the endorsement. Texas 209 District Court, Brian Warren versus Kevin Fulton. Kevin Fulton will get the endorsement in the Texas 209th District Court. Texas 228th District Court, Frank Aguilar versus Andy Taylor. Andy Taylor will get the endorsement. Texas 230th District Court, Chris Morton versus Brad Hart. Brad Hart will get the endorsement. Texas 232nd District Court, Josh Hill versus Joshua Norman. Joshua Norman will get the endorsement. Texas 234th District Court, Lauren Reeder versus Michael West. Michael West gets that endorsement. In the 245th District Court, Angela Lancelin versus Dan Lumkel. Dan Lumkel will get the endorsement. Texas 246th District Court, Angela Graves Harrington versus Charlie Prine. Charlie used to have that seat before, but I think the seat is in good hands right now. So I would endorse and encourage you to vote for Angela Graves Harrington in that race. The 247th District Court, Janusberg versus Jarek Tipsword, and I would go with Jarek Tipsword in that particular race. In the 248th District Court, Hillary Unger versus Julian Ramirez. Ramirez gets the endorsement, and I would encourage you to vote for Julian in the 248th District Court. The Texas 257th District Court. Hold on a second, you guys. I got a text came here. Okay. Sandra Peak versus Lionel Ferreras II. I would go with Lionel Ferreras II for the 257th District Court. Now we're going to the 262nd District Court. Lori Chambers Gray versus Tanya Roland McLaughlin. And the endorsement goes to Tanya Roland McLaughlin in that race. Texas 263rd District Court, Melissa Morris. I'm not going with Black Girl Magic. It doesn't work. Amber Cox gets the actual endorsement in the 263rd District Court. The 269th District Court, Corey Sapello versus Bruce Bain. No-brainer. Had the opportunity to talk to him many times. Very educated young man. Bruce Bain gets the endorsement. Texas 270th District Court, Mike Landrum, the Republican, versus Deidre Davis, the incumbent. Michael Landrum gets the endorsement. That was a tough one right there, dog, when I did the research on it. All right, Damian Kirby versus Rose Cardenas. I would recommend Rose Cardenas in the 280th District Court. The 281st District Court, Christine Weems versus Michelle Fraga. Michelle Fraga gets the endorsement. Texas 295th District Court, Donna Roth versus Malcolm Whitaker. Malcolm Whitaker gets the endorsement. The Texas 308 District Court, Gloria Lopez versus Todd Frankfurt. I like Frankfurt in the primary, and Frankfurt will get the endorsement. Todd Frankfurt in the 308 District Court race. The 309th District Court race, Linda Marie Dunstan versus Jesus Gillian. I'm not falling for it. Black Girl Magic again. Jesus Gillian will get the endorsement in the 309th District Court. Let's go back. I missed one. The 310th District Court, Sonia Heath versus Andrew Bailey. Andrew Bailey gets the endorsement. In the Texas 311th District Court, Jermaine Tanner versus Gardner Eastland. Gardner Eastland will get the endorsement. I'm not going with Black Girl Magic at all. Texas 312th District Court, Teresa Waltrip versus Win Pham. Win Pham will get the endorsement. The Texas 313th, Natalia Oakes versus Rachel Leo Hudson. Leo Hudson gets the endorsement in the 313th District Court race. The 314th District Court, Michelle Moore versus Cindy Hyde. Cindy Hyde will get the endorsement. In the 315th District Court, Leah Shapiro versus Maria Brock. I'm going to go with Shapiro. She's strong. She's strong, and she's done a decent job. So in the Texas 55th District Court, Latasha Payne versus Niall Copeland. And I will say that Niall Copeland is a very, very knowledgeable person of the law. and he has a great heart. He doesn't see a color. He's going to call it down the middle. Now Copeland gets the endorsement in the Texas 55th District Court race. Texas District Court of Appeals, Julius Countess versus Terry Adams. Terry Adams is going to get the endorsement in this race. The Court of Appeals, place 4, April Farris versus Mike Englehart. April Farris will get the endorsement. The Texas 14th District Court of Appeals, Kevin Jewell versus Sherry Thomas. Kevin Jewell gets the endorsement. Texas 14th District Court of Appeals, place 9. Randy Wilson versus William DeMond. Randy Wilson will get the endorsement here. Those are your races, and there are key races that we want to keep our eyes on. I called it the way that I saw it after the research that I did on every single candidate. You see there's a mixture of Republican and Democrat, but Republicans outweigh Democrats, especially in our criminal courts. I can't fall for it waiting on the promises of what they plan on doing. When I decide what I'm going to do, I do it. And I said, one, I'm not supporting Black Girl Magic because they were puppets for Rodney Ellis. And some of those girls, those ladies, they actually made it through on my endorsements. Angela Graves Harrington being one of them, she made it through. I think she does a decent job, and that's what we want, is people doing decent jobs. But the big race in Harris County is Lena Hidalgo versus Alex Miller, and that's a no-brainer for me. I can't do the inexperienced county judge. I can't do it anymore. I can't deal with the fact that we know that this woman is lying to the public right now with the budget situation in Harris County. You know, like they're gonna run out of money, and that's a total lie. Jack Cagle, you know, and in that particular race, hold on a second, because I missed some races, so I want to make sure that I get them right. I don't want to get this wrong. Let me see. Let's go back. I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Okay, and it's a race, county treasurer, county clerk, all these judges races. I'm trying to find. Hold on a second. Let's go in here. In the race for Harris County Commissioner, I would go with Adrian Hidalgo versus Jack Mormon. I would actually go with Jack Mormon in that race. Let's go in here. Yeah, I can see this. There's some races that didn't pop up. So we want to go over here. Let's see. In the race with Jack Cagle. Let me make sure I got this right. Oh. Let me make sure I got this right. Make sure that you vote for Jack Cagle for Harris County Commissioner. And my man Mormon, we want to make sure that we vote for Jack Mormon and get Adrian Garcia off of the Commissioner's Court. Some people will be mad. I really don't care. Some people are just sitting high on the hog. My endorsements carry a lot of weight, especially in the African-American community, where people are constantly reaching out to me to ask me who to vote for. And all of this week, I will be putting up different races to remind you who to vote for. Tomorrow's the first day of early voting, so I plan on knocking my early voting out tomorrow to make sure that I get my races and I cast my vote. The most important thing that you need to do is make sure that you vote. Don't let anybody come at you, because right now Mueller can't get Hidalgo to debate her publicly. To debate her publicly. So you telling me don't vote early? Wait until election day? That's a tough one for me because I don't like being in them lines. But if my friend Kristen Martin say don't vote early, I'm not going to vote early. And I know exactly why she's saying that. Because there's a lot that's going on. There's a lot that's going on. So I want to put this out there so people can understand. They're sending down teams to watch this thing, man. Harris County has been a quote-unquote clusterfuck when it comes to elections about the last 3 or 4 times. These elections are going to be monitored to the fullest. These elections are going to be monitored to the fullest. And one of the biggest races on this election ballot, where normally there's some funny shit going on, is Sheila Jackson Lee versus Carmen Maria Montiel. You want my endorsement? Carmen Maria Montiel is getting the endorsement. I think 28 years in office and people dying of cancer clusters in your district, and that's a federal issue. That's something that you could put some pressure on people on to try and fix that. We can't wait any longer. The dancing, at the events, the Cupid shuffle, trying to get you to vote for them, bringing in people like Jane Fonda to block walk. Nobody give a fuck about Jane Fonda. She don't live in Harris County. Don't vote for Lena Hidalgo and do not vote for Sheila Jackson Lee. That district has flipped. They redrew those lines as a 47% Latino vote in that district, but the problem with the Latino vote is a lot of them don't vote. The same thing in the African-American community. My African-American brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. Don't you fall for Beto O'Rourke. I don't know if people think he's the second coming of John F. Kennedy, but he's not. Well, I tell you what he has in common with John F. Kennedy. You like to prioritize black people a month before the election. You like to, spread your money around to the black folk a month before the election. The same communities were there when you ran last time. Did you take the time out to deal with them? No, do not fall for that. If you want this county safe, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to give it back to somebody else because the people that are in charge, they are not doing what they need to do. In my race, me versus Alma Allen, they call her a legend. I call my community underserved and ignored. People don't call Alma when they got a problem in our district. In 131, they call me. But let the Chronicle tell it, I'm better working from the outside than from the inside. Fuck the Houston Chronicle. I said that and I meant that. Fuck the Houston Chronicle. They trash, and that's what it is. They get some endorsements right, but all in all, it's about who chunking that money. Who chunking that money? Adrian Garcia don't give a damn about the Latino community. Give it to Jack Mormon. Jack Cagle, whether y'all know it or not, by him not showing up for those meetings in commissioner's court, this man is trying to stop your taxes from going up. See, Hidalgo and Ellis could give a damn. Remember, Hidalgo was living at her mama house when she ran for office last time. So now you got millions in the bank, you good, but you don't give a damn about taxes, little mama. So get Dora the Explorer out of office. Vote Lena Hidalgo out. Be done with it, and that's that. I love y'all to death, man, but I got some homework to do, and we going to be at the polls early in the morning. I think I'm going to go over to West Gray, and I'm going to start my day off there, and I'll be hitting polls all day long, just talking to people, hanging out with them, doing what I do. It is what it is, but don't forget to cast your vote for Gary Monroe, House District 131. Alma Allen needs to go. She's not doing anything. And minus us being on the same Zoom for a endorsement screening, she wouldn't debate me publicly. She can't, because I would eat her up. Eat her up. And that's what it is. So sit back, relax. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. It's the war zone with the 5-star general. And that's how this shit go down, man. Good luck to every single candidate. But I've given you my recommendations. And if you need to figure it out, go back, replay the video, and just let it play. And then get all your votes ready. But the recommendation is from tons and thousands of people, especially in Harris County. Do not vote until actual election day. It's too much funny shit going on. And if they gonna cheat to win an election, then goddamn it, my hood should reflect the fact that you've done your job. Good evening.